What's up guys? Today we made it to padelshop.com. We're gonna be testing some rackets and we're gonna be talking about how to choose your racket. If you've been looking for a while and you don't know what to choose, well, here's a guide for you to find the best.
And if you're looking for gear, make sure to watch till the end because I'm gonna be sharing a discount code for you to buy here at padelshop.com.
All right, so how can you choose your racket properly? There's a few factors or properties that you want to look in to find the ideal one. Today, we're gonna look into 5. The shape, the foam, the cover, the weight, and the balance. All right, let's go into the first one, and that's the shape. In my opinion, the most important one, and also probably the most noticeable one. In general, there's 3 shapes. There's round, there's teardrop, and there's diamond shape. Now, the round racket is usually used by people that want more control, and this is because the sweet spot is a lot bigger. In this racket, I can hit the ball not so close to its sweet spot, and I'm gonna still get a good shot. Where if I buy a diamond shape, which is the opposite, it's an aggressive racket with a small sweet spot, I'm not gonna really be able to hit a good shot unless I hit it in the center of the racket. These are for players that want to go for aggressive balls, but don't really need that extra layer of control, right? So here you have rackets that give you a lot of power, but aren't gonna be very easy to use. Now, the round rackets are usually called also control rackets because the sweet spot is huge. You can hit it really far from the sweet spot or from the center of the racket, and you're still gonna get a solid shot. Then you have the teardrops, which are a little bit of a hybrid or an intermediate between both of the diamond shape and the round rackets, and they have a little bit of both. You know, they have a little bit of aggressive shots, but also the sweet spot is not as big. Now, there's another factor that you have to take into account when looking at the shape, and it's that not only is the sweet spot smaller in a diamond shape, but also it's gonna be higher. So in a diamond shape, you find it, let's say here. In a round racket, you find it closer to the center, so it's lower. And in a teardrop, you're probably gonna find it in between. All right, factor number 2. The foam that is inside your racket, and it might sound a little bit ridiculous, but this is what your racket is actually made of. So if the foam is more powerful or reactive, your racket is also gonna feel that way. Now, here at padelshop.com, not only can you see the racket split in half so that you can actually see and feel the foam that they have inside, but also they have the different foams individually. So here in my hand, I have 4 different kinds of foams, the Dual, V50, V30, and V55. And I can tell you that the Dual is a lot stronger than the other 3. So probably a racket that has this foam is gonna feel a lot more powerful than the other 3. So when you're looking into a racket, make sure that you see what foam it is made of. A lot of brands call them different names, but then you can have an idea, okay, this one is a little bit softer, this one is a little bit stronger. For example, if I'm a person that doesn't want really a control racket, I want a really reactive foam. But if I want a racket that is a little bit more controlled and not that powerful, I'm gonna go for a softer foam. All right, let's go into the next thing that you wanna look into when buying a racket. But before that, I promised you a discount code for padelshop.com. And here you have it, it's Padelable 10. So if you go buy some rackets, buy some gear, at the end you input the code Padelable 10 and you're gonna get a sweet 10% discount. So you're welcome for that. Let's keep going. Next factor is the texture, or as I mentioned before, the cover. And this is just what is on the racket. So there's rackets that feel a little bit rougher, like this one, and there's rackets that feel not as rough, like this one. And the reason why that matters is because with this racket, I'm gonna have a tougher time putting spin or slice on the ball than with this one, because here there's gonna be more friction with the ball. All right, let's go into the 4th thing that you wanna look into when buying a racket, and that is the weight. Now with the weight, most rackets aren't gonna tell you the exact value because they don't really know because it really depends on what happened during the manufacturing process. So they give you an interval. So it goes from 345 to 360 in this case. In the vertex, it goes from 365 to 375. So the weights are pretty similar, but in this case, this one's a little bit heavier, but it also depends on the racket itself. You're gonna find rackets that have different weights, even if they are the same racket from the same brand. Now, another thing you wanna look into is women rackets are lighter. This Elite from Bull Padel is 350 to 360 grams. So you want to be careful with that. I see a lot of people that tell me, hey, I bought a woman's racket and I didn't realize, or sometimes even a kid's racket, because kids' rackets are also different weights. Should I keep it? And you know, that's something so important for you to feel comfortable with that I would really be careful not to buy a kid's or a woman's racket in that case that you're a male. Or if you're a female, you know, it's going to be more comfortable for you to buy a lighter racket. So that's something important to look into. Last but not least, balance. What do I mean by balance? The balance is where the weight is distributed. So if my racket has the weight in the head, then it's going to be more powerful, but it's going to be less controlled. If it has the weight on the grip and not on the head, then I'm going to be able to hit with more control, but it's going to be more difficult to add speed and power on the ball. Now, most rackets bring that on the cover or on the side of, you know, the racket. So this one, the vertex, says the balance is low, which means that the gravity or weight is going to be on the grip. This one really feels grip heavy. So that means that you have a little bit more control and it's a little bit more difficult to hit with power or speed. Wilson just says mid. They don't really say anything else, but you can tell by the little logo that comes on that they're talking about balance. So mid balance means that the weight is in the center. It's not heavy on the grip and it's not heavy on the head either. And then Adidas brings it on the side. So it says head heavy. So this one is very light on the grip and very heavy on the head. So it's going to be easier to add speed on the ball, to smash, to hit with power, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult to control that shot. So here you have it. A low balance racket, a mid balance racket, and a high balance racket. Now, it's very difficult to understand it unless you feel it, but at least now you have an idea of what balance means. Well, there you have it. Now you know how to choose your racket properly. And if you go to padelshop.com and use our code Padelable10, you're gonna get a nice 10% discount. Now, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, to like this video so that you can keep supporting us. And if you wanna watch me getting a lesson on how to smash properly, you can watch it right here.